Welcome to the Power Up Your Life podcast. I'm Mandy McAllister.
And I'm Kelly Resendez.
Today's guest is Laura Spaulding, our friend Laura Spaulding. She is the founder and franchisor of Spaulding Decon, a leading decontamination company in the U.S. After 7 years in law enforcement and serving in the military, Laura decided to start Spaulding Decon as a one-woman show. She franchised this company. She was featured in the Wall Street Journal, Inc. magazine, Entrepreneur magazine. She's been a featured expert in growing a dirty business. In 2020, Laura took the company to a 608% growth rate to make the Inc. 5000 list at number 784. She earned her spot on the Entrepreneur Franchise 500 list in less than 4 years of franchising. You also might know her from her incredible YouTube channel called Crime Scene Cleaning. You got to check that out. She's got about 1.5 million subscribers, over $100 million views. Laura, we are so excited to have you here. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. So right after college, I got into law enforcement, and that's where I got the idea for my first business, which is Crime Scene Cleaning. I was at a homicide, and the mother of a deceased asked me when the police were coming back to clean up the scene. And I had never been asked that before. So I didn't know the answer. And I thought, wow, that's strange that I'm a police officer and I don't know the answer, and no one had asked me that before. So I kind of went on this fact-finding mission, only to discover that back then, 20 years ago, there was really no one cleaning it up. So I decided to start my business, and I left law enforcement forever.
Nice. I'm sure that was a total relief after the whole journey that you've been on.
Very much so.
You know, you've become this incredible version of yourself, however many millions of YouTube subscribers, a thriving business that has had some pivots along the way, an incredible family. You've done all this really great stuff. But along that journey, I'm sure there was a time that you felt stuck. Talk to me a little bit about when you feel stuck. What are some things you do to get unstuck?
Wow. Yeah, I feel stuck pretty often, actually, because unfortunately, you kind of get in situations in business where you have to make hard decisions. And I think that, the most recent time that I felt extremely stuck was in franchising. So I started to franchise my company in 2016. And frankly, it was a bad decision. It was something that I wouldn't recommend to others, and that did not go well at all. And I felt stuck because once you get involved in that, you've got contractual obligations to people, and that's literally the epitome of being stuck, because you want to get out of it, but you can't. So I was able to make the decision of, we're not going to expand anymore. We're not going to sell any more franchises, but I'm going to continue to support the 16 locations that I have now. And that has given me relief that I don't have to deal in that type of business anymore. It's not for me. It's not a good business model.
So the actionable thing to get you out of it was to look at the circumstances differently?
So it was to essentially stop the pain, which was stop selling franchises. And I was able to, cut all the staff that was working on that. It's very labor intensive. Franchising is. You have a ton of staff. We had almost $1 million a year in payroll alone. And for a small business, that's a lot. So by stopping franchising and then focusing on the 16 locations that we have now, it was like a huge weight that was lifted off of me.
Warren Buffett says the fastest way to get out of a hole is to stop digging the hole. I love it.
Exactly. Kelly. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, Laura, you're in GoBundance Women with us, and I get the pleasure of being with a pod and watching you go through some of that. Like, really just, it was transformational for you, because you did feel like you were drowning there for a little bit. Mm-hmm. So just witnessing you kind of coming out on the other side and really just creating a new model for yourself. So what's going on now? Like, it sounds like you've really taken this one business and expanded it into multiple businesses. How have you done that?
Yeah. So, it's really easy when you're stuck to feel the weight of the world on your shoulders. And for me, there was really a couple things that I did that I think were pivotal to getting out of that. One was meditation. I'm big on transcendental meditation, doing that twice a day. It really allowed me to kind of get centered and focus on the problem and try to see it from a wide angle rather than being so tunnel vision. So that was one. The second thing is every year I do a what I call a think week, and I just go out in the middle of the woods or wherever by myself, and I spend an entire week in silence, just really working, reading, studying, and figuring out what my next plan is going to be. So I think those two things are what really helped me pivot. And I decided, that's when I made the decision. I'm not going to franchise anymore, but I'm going to get into other businesses. And I'm big on vertical integration. So I wanted to take businesses that are vertically integrated with my crime scene cleaning business. I have a real estate business, a property management business. So I'm looking into buying a mortuary transport company. And then through the power of GoBundance, I've met wonderful people that I am going to be partnering with and hopefully acquiring assisted living facilities.
That's awesome. Let's dig into this crime scene thing. Like, Americans are obsessed with it, right?
They are.
You look at the number of shows, other things. How did you kind of pivot as you're running this business into becoming a YouTube sensation as well? And how has that supported the growth of the business too?
It's been pivotal. It really has. So back in 2019, which is actually not that long ago, I was kind of a late bloomer into YouTube. I had this bright idea of kind of doing, I don't know if you guys remember Cops, where the cameraman just followed the cops along. So because I was in law enforcement, I was very aware of that show. And I thought, you know what? People love true crime. Why don't we create the same type of model? I'll hire a videographer to essentially just follow these crews around. When I presented it to my staff, they were like, oh my God, that's the worst idea ever. That's horrible. Do not do it. So of course I did it. Uh, and I went with my gut and I did it. And it turned out to be a viral sensation. And we went from in a month or two, we got 100,000 subscribers. And then it took a couple years to get to 1 million. And I think we're about 1.5 million now on YouTube. So what I found out is the people that are obsessed with true crime, which happen to be 75% female, are also obsessed with what we do. So our demographic is female based. Well, most people were like, well, how are you going to convert that? How do you measure that ROI? Well, what we did is the viral awareness has helped the brand exponentially. So we get people stopping us in restaurants and gas stations and everything. Oh my God, I watch your show and all that. So it's been fantastic for branding and awareness, which was the point. How does a small business compete with, billion-dollar Amazon that can run commercials in every market? That's how you do it.
Be viral. I love that you took this contrarian stance, that your team thought it was ridiculous and you did it anyway. So kind of on that vein of contrarian thinking, what is a strategy or an opinion that many other people would disagree with?
That was a big one. My team thought that it was going to come off as sensational and callous, maybe, and what we did is it's all in the editing, of course, we never divulge the person's name, the address, nothing like that. We even blur out if there's family photos on the wall and stuff. So it's not about them. And what we want to do is we want to focus on the staff that actually does this hard job. And it's not easy. It's not easy from a mental health perspective. And a physical perspective. We lose more employees because of their lack of physical fitness than we do anything on the mental health side. And most people would think it's contrary to that. So, the longevity of an employee typically is 6 to 12 months, unfortunately. It's not easy work. It's very difficult.
It sounds like that dirty jobs. The mental health piece of things. It's like you're experiencing someone's worst day.
Yes.
In many cases. Like I had to imagine that was going to be that is surprising.
It's heavy. It's very heavy. And there's certain things that will that will trigger all of us. You know, I had to clean up the accidental shooting death of a 5-year-old, and
Oh,
that weighed on me quite a bit. And that was before I had kids. And to this day, it was probably 8 or 9 years ago, but to this day, I can still see that bedroom. I can see that pool of blood, and it just weighed on me. You know, and there's certain jobs that I will never forget.
mm,
And I think we carry that with us. But I think my superpower is empathy, and
yeah.
my ability to empathize with these families and help them at least get past that visual aspect of it is rewarding to me, and that's what keeps me going here 20 years later.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You know, Laura, one thing I've always admired about you too is that you do have a lot of ands in your life. You know,
Yeah.
you're a mom and you're in real estate investing. How do you kind of balance your time? Like what are some of the strategies that you use to do that?
So that was probably, you know, the one of the mistakes that I always say to myself is, "Oh my God, why didn't I get into real estate investing sooner?" I have the opportunity with the hoarding houses, the crime scene houses, and I didn't get into it until 2016. So it was like, what the hell was I thinking? I was not.
Explain high level your play because we are all friends, but any listeners might not know exactly what it is that you do. Explain your play.
Yeah. So what it is basically when we get, you know, calls to clean up death scenes, hoarding scenes, drug labs, whatever it might be, we're obviously going to help these people clean it up. But if they want to just walk away from the home, we will give them cash to buy it as is condition. And it's not for everyone, but we close about 1 in 10 offers because many people, maybe grandma lives in Florida, the family lives in, say, Michigan. They have no desire to come down to Florida. They don't want to hire a real estate agent. They don't want to clean out the house. They don't want to make repairs. So in a lot of circumstances, that is the path of least resistance for them. So when I created the real estate company, they go in conjunction with one another. And that's the real estate play that we've been doing since 2016.
Incredible. Incredible.
Really
So,
brilliant. Yeah,
yeah, as
seeing a lot
you're
of opportunity right in front of you and learning how to take advantage of it. I
Yeah,
really admire your focus on vertical integration
yeah,
because how do I get more things that feed the things that I'm already doing
exactly.
to build my businesses? That's really fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
so Laura, you know, one of the main areas of focus that we talk a lot about is like who you're being, you know, to grow a company. I heard a very high level, you know, founder of a company yesterday talking about, you know, when I ask people what percentage did your business grow, his next question is, well, what percentage did you grow? Like,
Hmm.
because
Mm,
we have to continuously keep growing. Like, what are some of those daily habits, rituals? I know that you touched on meditation, which, you know, for a lot of people that are type A drivers, like they're allergic to the idea of
Yeah,
just sitting in stillness
it
or
was hard.
even going out into the woods
Yeah.
and you know, taking some alone time with like not talking to other people. But what other dailies do you look at or just disciplines in your life that have gotten you where you are, those habits?
Yeah, that was very difficult for me at the onset. It took a long time for me to kind of settle in to meditation and get the benefits out of it. And you know, I would caution people, don't give up if it doesn't work the first month or two, because it does take time, especially with, you know, somebody ADD like me that's, you know, just trouble sitting down. But that's a big one. And exercise is another one. But I think the probably one of the bigger ones, the third component is being in GoBundance and being around members of like-minded people that I swear I get a ton of growth just by being in the presence of these brilliant women that they don't even need to be in the same field as me. We can learn from each other, and that's been huge for me and my development and my growth.
mm.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that. I think, you know, for myself, I talk a lot about rituals and recipes and, you know, you have to really be in the right environment. And when you are in the right environment, you feel that accountability and support. And I'm so grateful for all of that that you've
Yeah.
given to me in my life. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, Laura, there's so much to unpack here in this conversation that we've had. I very much love your contrarian views of
Yeah.
things, and that really helps you squeeze the juice out of things, and really looking to peers and other people to help pull you up and solve problems in that really thoughtful type of way. I am totally stealing your Think Week. Just so you
Yes.
know, I am making that happen. Thank you for that gift. And I
Yes.
also really love the advice of stop digging the hole when
Yes.
you are in it, you know?
Yeah.
So I really honor all of the things that you've done, all of the value that you've brought here and that you've made happen in your life. You know, maybe tell us a little bit of how we can serve you. What is a resource or an introduction that would change the ball game for something that you're working on now?
I think right now, along with another GoBundance member, sister of mine, we're in the process of really looking at and studying the assisted living facilities, the structure of it, the financing, the finding of the units and stuff. So I think, in my perspective, that would be a great intro for us to learn more about the space, because again, it has a bit of a vertical integration with what I'm doing, kind of cradle to grave, if you don't want to be too gory about it. But that's a space that I'm super interested in right now.
Awesome. I've got some people to introduce you
Right
to.
on.
Really
Oh,
Awesome.
that's
make that happen.
amazing. I
Yeah.
love it.
So Laura, if anybody has more assisted living stuff or wants to know more about you, get in touch with you. What is the best way for people to get in touch with Laura Spaulding?
Yeah, I have a personal Instagram, personal Facebook. It's at the real Laura Spaulding. And if go that route if you're not into the gore. But for the following the crime scene cleaning stuff, it's just at crime scene cleaning on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram.
Amazing. Laura, thank you so much for joining us on the Power Up Your Life podcast. We are so grateful for your time. Listeners, make sure you join us on our next great episode of Power Up Your Life.
Bye, everyone.